Perhaps the most skilled of the Soviet fighters. Second fight on the agenda tonight. Middleweight Viktor Igorov. He is the most aggressive of the Soviets, and he's won all 5 of his fights by KO. And time permitting tonight, we'll take a look at Sergei's older brother, Alex, a 23-year-old lightweight who just survived with a draw in his last fight a month ago in Miami. And heavyweight Yuri Vaulin, 6-0. 4 knockouts, who somehow has moved into the rankings, number 26 by the WBC. And of all the Soviets, he has certainly had the easiest road so far. He has not close to been tested to this point.
Well, they have really picked their shots with Yuri because they realize in that heavyweight class how much a southpaw. There's never been a southpaw heavyweight champion, and plus they're playing a little bit off the Rocky films. They want to make it where they have a championship of the world between a Soviet fighter and an American fighter.
Well, a few weeks ago, Burt Reynolds joined us here, and KO Comments asked us why are the Soviets fighting stiffs for oppositions. Now, I think that will hold true tonight in the Yuri Vaulin fight, but not in the other 3.
Well, in the other 3 fights, it looks as though, Al, this fight for them is not going to be up against stiff. They've got some stiff competition because the people they're fighting are worthy opponents.
All right, so that is the agenda tonight. The Soviets, along with former world champion Juan Laporte, in our main event. So come on back to Butte for USA's Tuesday night fights. Tonight's boxing is being brought to you by Meineke Discount Muffler Shops. It's smart to come to Meineke, and by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This spot's for you. USA Tuesday night fights, venturing far and wide. Tonight in Butte, Montana, this is our first fight up. Sergei Artemiev going up against Bobby Brewer. Brewer, who has reduced his weight and has since been on a 3-fight tear, upping his record to 10-3, and should be the best competition that Sergei Artemiev has seen so far. Artemiev 5-0-1. with 4 knockouts. His 4 knockouts have come in his last 4 fights. So he has been able to turn on the power. Very aggressive at 5'8.5" and 132 pounds. And he is settling now in the junior lightweight division after a couple of fights at around 138. Here are the Montana rules. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. So is the standing 8 count. You can be saved by the bell in the last round only, and scoring in Montana done on the 10-point must system. And right now, going into the ring, standing right there on the Budweiser canvas, no more appropriate named ring announcer than Ron Brewski.
As we get set for our 3rd bout of the evening, this reminder, these bouts are sanctioned by the Montana State Athletic Commission and the Montana Boxing Association. Your promoter for these bouts, Joe Jovanovich. Pete Jovanovich is your matchmaker. Our next bout of the evening in the junior lightweight classification. Your referee is Mick O'Brien. We're scheduled to go 6 rounds. Introducing first, out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with the red trim, weighing in at 130.5 pounds, fighting out of Aurora, Colorado. His record, 10 wins, 3 losses, and 7 knockouts, Bobby Brewer. Brewer in the blue corner. His opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the red trunks, weighing in at 132 pounds. Hailing from Leningrad in the Soviet Union, now boxing out of New York City, New York. Professional record, 5 wins, no losses, 1 draw, with 4 knockouts. Here is Sergei Artemiev. Artemiev in the red corner, 6 rounds in the junior lightweight division.
Gentlemen, welcome to Butte, Montana. You both are familiar with the rules. I just want you to keep in mind in the state of Montana, we do have a standing 8 count. There's also a 3 knockdown rule in effect. If a fighter is knocked down 3 times in 1 round, the fight will be terminated. I want you to shake hands now and come out boxing. Good luck to both of you.
Scheduled for 6, Sergei Artemiev has never gone more than 4. His last fight was scheduled for 6, but he has been on a knockout tear. And Bobby Brewer in the black trunks getting a good hand from the crowd here in Butte. Very aggressive fighter. We saw him last against Sergei Mitchell. He went the distance, and Brewer walks into a couple of shots by Sergei Artemiev. Artemiev is the youngest of the Soviet contingent at 21, the least decorated. He was a runner-up in some national tournaments, but looks right now to have as much potential as all of them as a pro. Terrific skills into the pro ranks. He'll carry his hands down, as you see right there, and Brewer trying to take advantage. Brewer is known as a brawler. He won his first 7 fights as a pro and then lost to Donald Stokes, Kelsey Banks, the Olympian, and the distance fight against Sergei Mitchell. At that point, he felt 134, 135 pounds was just too much, so he went down to 130, comes in tonight at 130 and a half. He's faster, he's stronger, and he has come up with 3 big victories. He beat Kronk's Anthony Lopez, who was 10-0 in an 8-round decision. He knocked out Jimmy Flores in 1 round, and his last fight last month against Edgar Garcia stopped him in the 6th after having Garcia down on the canvas 6 times in the fight.
Look at how cool Sergei is here in this first round. You know, Bobby Brewer came out and he tried to attack real hard, trying to get Sergei upset in this first round. But Sergei gets back to his basic skills. He throws his punches real clean, all on the inside. Good move by Sergei. He is perhaps the best of these Soviet fighters that have come over here. Tommy Gallagher, their trainer, says he has the best skills. He mixes well. He knows his way around the ring. He tries not to get hit.
And he's very tough. He's got an inner strength that he brings to the ring. Bobby Brewer will be all over him. He's a fighter that keeps on coming and a fighter that is incredibly well conditioned. And for Brewer, this is actually a step down the 6th round, so he really doesn't even have to pace himself. And Brewer, coming out of Colorado, around Denver and the Aurora area, very much used to the high altitude. And Sergei Artemiev comes here to Butte, which is about a mile high.
And I tell you, that thin air up at the high altitudes. Now look at all these punches from Brewer. He's landed a lot, but the hands of Sergei are up around his face. The air here in Butte, Montana, with 6,000 feet high, it's thinner, and you're not able to take real deep breaths. You can't quite catch your breath.
Soviet fighters have been very busy. Artemiev fought in each of the last months, fighting twice in May, but Bobby Brewer also very busy. This is his 5th fight in 1990. He has fought every month. For our local cable systems, we'll pause for these messages. Sergei Artemiev, 21-year-old from Leningrad, in the red trunks, battling out with Bobby Brewer out of Aurora, Colorado, in the black.
And again in this round, Al, look at Brewer jumping on Artemiev. He's trying to establish the control of the round in that first 10 seconds. Artemiev, though, he keeps his wits about him. He's cool and collected, and then he comes back with punches of his own. I'm impressed with Artemiev. I think Sergei is the best of this bunch, and this is why. Some of the things that they've been working on, trying to get proper placement of those punches, trying to speed up Sergei a little bit. He actually has rushing hands and Roman ideas, Al.
Worked on that one. Very good.
If I could just keep up with you, Al, I'd be doing okay.
Tommy Gallagher has been trying to get the Soviet fighters to relax more and throw more punches to get on the aggressive. And look at those shots upstairs by Artemiev. The Soviet fighters come out.
I tell you, this kid,
known as headhunters.
Sergei, this kid can fight. He was a little bit concerned between rounds, shaking his legs because of this thin air. But you look at him slide beside those punches and then come in with counters. Nice work. Certain
changes being made in their styles. Gallagher says that Sergei is more flexible than his older brother, 23-year-old Alex. And listening to some of the advice by Gallagher. And he feels that these fighters are just too head conscious, don't have a body attack. And this is case in point right here. All Artemiev's shots have been upstairs, but there's been nothing to discourage him. He's been scoring upstairs.
Look at how effective he's been up there. You know, since the last time we saw these Soviet kids fight, Tommy Gallagher, the trainer, said he stepped in the ring with Sergei to try to make a point that you couldn't pull back away from a right hand. So he threw a right hand at Sergei. Sergei pulled back away from it and countered back and hit Tommy.
And
the trainer even has to watch out for punches from his fighter.
We'll be hearing a little more from the very colorful Tommy Gallagher a little later about how things have been going handling the Soviet fighters. And the Brewer counters. Brewer likes to stay on the offensive, which could be a difficult task against Sergei Artemiev, who's now lining Brewer up along the ropes.
Well, Brewer said that I hope he, meaning Sergei, comes after me. He likes to stay on the inside and brawl, but I don't know if he realized that Sergei is as strong as he is. Also in good condition are these Soviet fighters.
Well, Brewer's hopes coming true so far in the first 2 rounds. This is scheduled for 6. They're fighting as junior lightweights. 21-year-old Sergei Artemiev, who is riding an undefeated record of 5-0-1, and now hearing it from Tommy Gallagher and also interpreter Andy Agapov in the corner.
Once you hit him upstairs with the right hand, you got to come back to the belly. Power now.
The Americanization of Sergei Artemiev.
Drink a little.
Good right here.
You got to get the power punches going. Come on, come on. Come on. How do you feel? Try to lean in with some power punches. Lean in with that right.
Lean in with some power punches. They're trying to get him to bend more in the waist, more rotation from his shoulders. That looks, those punches right there all look very good, but they want just a little bit more, just a more lean from the waist up. See if he can do that.
The only so-called blemish on the card of Artemiev, the draw, was his first professional fight. That came in January, and that was in Moscow. A 4-round draw with Soviet fighter Ivan Bushnikov, and that was the first pro fight between 2 Soviet fighters, and it happened in Moscow.
Wow, and right there, Brewer had backed Artemiev into a corner. Artemiev swung around to back Brewer into that corner. He used some pivots. Ring-wise is Artemiev. It's going to take a good fighter to beat him.
And a great credit for Bobby Brewer trying to develop a career out of the Denver area. It's very difficult for fighters to come out of Denver. It's a tough city to cultivate a boxing career. The altitude there, fighters really won't come in to fight you, so you really have to hit the road for bouts. You're always on the road fighting. You're taking a lot of short notice fights. You're in the other guy's backyard. You have to take some fights you really shouldn't at the certain stages of your career. Plus, there are few sparring partners available. So where do you get your work even at home? And there's no boxing commission in Denver. So credit to Bobby Brewer coming along nicely. And especially his resurgence now that he's down to about 130 pounds.
Well, you know, he is a road warrior, and I give him a lot of credit because fighters like this I always like. They go in, sometimes on last-minute notice, they give it everything that they got. He's given everything he's got here in this 3rd round. He has actually only fought in Denver 6 of his 13 fights.
Well, there are some people in the Denver area trying to build up the boxing program there.
Brewer has got a major welt right in the middle of his forehead. Much like Lewis Curtis that we saw a few weeks back in Miami.
Here essentially you have 2 lightweights who were fighting anywhere between 136 and 138, who have both kind of come down to the junior lightweight division. Artemiev at 132 and Brewer at 130.5. So they certainly share the same feelings, having gone down in weight instead of going up, which most fighters look to do.
And they may still be looking, searching for that peak weight, Al. There is everybody out there has got a peak weight where that weight they perform emotionally, physically, and mentally at the best that they can possibly be. That's what they're looking for.
And I'm remember, Brewer has gone 6 rounds once. He's gone 7 rounds on one occasion, and twice has gone the 8-round distance. The most Artemiev has gone is 4 rounds, so Brewer may have that on his mind too. Take Artemiev into the later rounds of this scheduled 6-rounder.